Hey guys, welcome back to day 95. Today we're going to be in Judges chapters 19 through 21. Here we go. Judges chapter 19. It says, "And now it happened in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that a certain Levite, living as an alien in the most remote part of the hill country of Ephraim, who took a concubine for himself from Bethlehem in Judea. But his concubine was unfaithful to him, and left him, and went to her father's house in Bethlehem of Judea, and stayed there for a period of 4 months. Then her husband arose, and went after her, to speak kindly and tenderly to her, in order to bring her back, taking with him his servants and a pair of donkeys. So she brought him into her father's house, and when the father of the girl saw him, he was happy to meet him. So his father-in-law, the girl's father, detained him. And he stayed there with him for 3 days. So they ate and they drank and they lodged there. And on the 4th day, they got up early in the morning, and the Levite prepared to leave. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Strengthen yourself with a piece of bread, and afterwards go your way." So both men sat down and ate and drank together, and the girl's father said to the man, "Please be willing to spend the night and enjoy yourself." Then the man got up to leave, but his father-in-law urged him strongly to remain. So he spent the night there again. On the 5th day he got up early in the morning to leave, but the girl's father said, "Please strengthen yourself and wait until the end of the days." So both of them ate. And when the man and his concubine and his servant got up to leave, his father-in-law, the girl's father, said to him, "Behold, now on the day has drawn to a close. Please spend the night. Look now, the day comes to an end. Spend the night here and celebrate. Enjoy yourself. Then tomorrow you may get up early for your journey and go home." But the man was not willing to stay the night. So he got up and left, and came to the place opposite Jebus, that is Jerusalem. With him were 2 saddled donkeys, and his servants, and his concubine. And when they were near Jebus, the day was almost gone. And the servant said to his master, "Please come and let us turn aside into this Jebusite city, and spend the night in it." But his master said to him, "We will not turn aside into a city of foreigners who are not of the sons of Israel. We will go on as far as Gibeah." And he said to his servant, "Come and let us approach one of those places, and we will spend the night in Geba or Ramah." So they passed by and went on their way, and the sun set on them near Geba, which belongs to the tribe of Benjamin. And they turned aside there to go in and spend the night in Geba. And the Levite went in and sat down in the open square of the city, because no man invited them into the house to spend the night. Then behold, there was an old man who was coming out of the field from his work at the evening. And he was from the hill country of Ephraim, but was staying in Geba, and his men of the place were sons of Benjamin. And when he looked up and saw the traveler and his companions in the city square, the old man said to them, "Where are you going, and where do you come from?" And the Levite replied, "We are passing through from Bethlehem in the territory of Judea to the most remote part of the hill country of Ephraim. I am from there. I went to Bethlehem of Judea, but I am now going home to my house. And there is no man in the city who will take us into his house for the night. Yet we have both straw and feed for our donkeys, and also bread and wine for me, and for your handmaiden, and for the young man who is with your servant. There is no lack of anything." Then the old man said, "Peace be to you. Only leave all your needs to me, and do not spend the night in the open square." So he brought him into the house, and he fed the donkeys, and they washed their feet, and they ate and they drank. And while they were celebrating, behold, men of the city, certain worthless and evil men, surrounded the house, pounded on the door, and they spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring out the man who came to your house, so that we may have relations with him." Then the man, the master of the house, went out and said to them, "No, my fellow citizens, please do not act so wickedly, since this man has come to my house as my guest. Do not commit this sacrilege. Here is my virgin daughter and this man's concubine, and I will bring them out now. Abuse and humiliate them, and do not do to them whatever you want to, but against this man do not commit such acts of sacrilege." But the men would not listen to him. So the men took the Levite's concubine and brought her outside to them, and they had relations with her, and they abused her all night until morning. And when daybreak came, they let her go. At daybreak, the woman came and collapsed at the door of the man's house where the master was until it was fully light. And when her master got up in the morning and opened the doors of the house, and he went out to go on his way, he saw his concubine laying at the door of the house, and her hands were on the threshold. And he said to her, "Get up and let us go." But there was no answer, for she had died. Then he put her body on the donkey, and the man left and went home. And when he arrived to his house, he took a knife, and taking hold of his dead concubine, he cut her corpse, limb by limb, into 12 pieces, and sent her body parts throughout all the territory of Israel. All who saw the dismembered parts said nothing like this has ever happened or been seen from the day that the sons of Israel came up from the land of Egypt to this day. Consider it, take counsel, and speak your minds. Then all the sons of Israel, from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, including the land of Gilead, came out, and the congregation assembled as one man to the Lord at Mizpah. The chiefs of all the people of all the tribes of Israel presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 men on foot who drew the sword. Now the Benjamites, in whose territory the crime was committed, heard that the other tribes of the sons of Israel had gone to Mizpah. And the sons of Israel said, "How did this evil thing happen?" So the Levite, the husband of the woman who was murdered, replied, "I had come with my concubine to spend the night in Gilboa, a town which belongs to the tribe of Benjamin. But the men of Gilboa rose up against me and surrounded the house at night because of me. They intended to kill me, but instead they raped my concubine so brutally that she died. So I took my concubine, and I cut her corpse into pieces, and I sent her body parts throughout the land of the inheritance of Israel, for the men of Gilboa have committed a lewd and disgraceful act in Israel. Now then, all you sons of Israel, all of you, give your advice and counsel here regarding what should be done." Then all the people stood unified as one man, saying, "None of us will go to his tent, and none of us will return to his home until this is settled. But now this is the thing which we will do to Gilboa. We will go up by lot against it, and we will take 10 men out of 100 throughout the tribes of Israel, and 100 out of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, bringing provisions for the men, so that when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, they may punish them for all the despicable acts which they have committed in Israel." So all the men of Israel assembled against the city, united as one man. Then the tribes of Israel sent men through the entire tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What is this evil thing that has been done among you? Now therefore turn over the men involved in this worthless and wicked men of Gilboa, so that we may put them to death and remove this wickedness from Israel." But the Benjamites would not listen to the voice of their brothers, the sons of Israel. Then the sons of Benjamin gathered together from the cities of Gilboa to go out to battle against the other sons of Israel. And the Benjamites assembled out of their cities at that time 26,000 men who drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, who assembled 700 chosen men. Out of all these people were 700 choice left-handed men. Each one could sling stones at a target no wider than a hair and not miss. Then the men of Israel, other than Benjamin, assembled 400,000 who drew the sword. All of these were men of war. And the men of Israel arose, and they went up to Bethel. And they asked of God and said, which of us shall take the lead to battle against the sons of the tribe of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. Then the fighting men of the sons of Israel arose in the morning, and they camped against Gibeah. The men of Israel went out and battled against Benjamin, and assembled in battle formation against them at Gilboa. The sons of Benjamin came out of Gilboa and struck to the ground on the day 22,000 fighting men of Israel. But the people, the fighting men of Israel, took courage and strengthened themselves, and again set their battle line in the same place where they formed it the first day. The sons of Israel went up, and they wept before the Lord until evening. And they asked the Lord, shall we advance again to the battle against the sons of our brother Benjamin? And the Lord said, go up against them. So the sons of Israel came against the sons of Benjamin the second day. And the fighting men from the tribe of Benjamin went out of Gibeah against them the second day, and struck to the ground the sons of Israel 18,000 men, all of whom were swordsmen. Then all the sons of Israel and all the people went up and came to Bethel, and they wept. And they sat there before the Lord, and they fasted that day until evening, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And the sons of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there at Bethel in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, ministered before it in those days, saying, shall I yet again go out to battle against the sons of my brother Benjamin, or shall I quit? And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will hand them over to you. So Israel set men in ambush around Gibeah. The fighting men of the sons of Israel went up against the sons of Benjamin on the third day, and they placed themselves in battle formation against Gibeah as at other times. And the Benjamites went out against their army, and they were lured away from the city. And they began to strike and kill some of the people as the other times on the highways, one of which goes up to Bethel, the other Gilboa, in the open country, about 30 men of Israel. And the Benjamites said, they are defeated before us as at first. But the sons of Israel said, let us flee, and lure them away from the city to the highways. Then all the men of Israel got up from their place and placed themselves in the battle formation at Baal-tamar. And the men of Israel who were in ambush rushed from their place in the plain of Meribah. And when the 10,000 choice fighting men from all of Israel came against Gibeah, the battle was hard and fierce, but the Benjamites did not realize that disaster was about to strike them. And the Lord struck down the tribe of Benjamin before Israel, so that the sons of Israel destroyed 25,100 men of Benjamin that day, all of whom were swordsmen. So the Benjamites realized that they were defeated. Then the men of Israel gave ground to the Benjamites, because they relied on the men in ambush whom they had placed against Gibeah. Then the men in ambush quickly rushed and attacked Gibeah, and the men in ambush also deployed and struck the entire city with the edge of the sword. Now the appointed signal between the men of Israel and the men in ambush was that they were to make a great cloud of smoke rise from the city. So the men of Israel turned in the battle, and Benjamin began to strike and kill about 30 men of Israel, for they said, certainly they are defeated before us as in the first battle. But when the signal the cloud began to rise out of the city in the column of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, the entire city was up in smoke to heaven. And when the men of Israel saw, they turned back again. The men of Benjamin were terrified, for they saw that disaster had fallen upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel and fled toward the direction of the wilderness. But the battle followed and overtook them. As the fighting men of the sons of Benjamin ran along them, the Israelites of the city came out and destroyed them. They surrounded the men of Benjamin, pursued them relentlessly, and took them opposite of Gibeah towards the east. Thus 18,000 men of Benjamin fell, all of these brave and able warriors. The survivors of Benjamin turned and fled toward the wilderness, to the rock of Rimmon, and Israel caught 5,000 of them on the roads, and overtook them at Gideon, and killed 2,000 of them. So all of Benjamin who fell that day were 25,000 men who drew the sword, all of them brave and able warriors. But 600 men turned and fled toward the wilderness of the rock of Rimmon, and stayed at the rock of Rimmon for 4 months. And the men of Israel turned back against the tribe of the sons of Benjamin, and they struck them with the edge of the sword, both the entire city of Gibeah and the livestock and all that they found. They also set on fire all the surrounding towns which they found. Chapter 21. Now the men of Israel had sworn an oath at Mizpah, none of us shall give his daughter in marriage to a man of Benjamin. So the people came to Bethel and sat there before God until evening. Wind got me. They lifted up their voices and wept bitterly. And they said, O Lord God of Israel, why hast thou come about in Israel, that there should be today one tribe missing from Israel? And the next day the people got up early, and they built an altar there, and they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. Then the sons of Israel said, Which one from all the tribes of Israel did not come up in the assembly to the Lord? For they had taken a great oath concerning him who did not come up to the Lord at Mizpah, saying, He shall certainly be put to death. And the sons of Israel felt sorry and had compassion for their brother Benjamin, and said, One tribe has been cut off from Israel today. What shall we do for wives for those who are left, since we have sworn an oath by the Lord that we will not give them any of our daughters as wives? And they said, Which one is there of the tribes from Israel that did not come up to Mizpah to the Lord? And behold, it was discovered that no one had come from the camp of Jabesh Gilead to the assembly. For when the people were assembled, behold, there was not one of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead there. And the congregation sent 12,000 of the most courageous men there, and commanded them, saying, Go and strike the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the sword, including the women and children. And this is the thing that you shall do. You shall utterly destroy every male and every woman who is not a virgin. And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins who had not known a man intimately, and they brought them to the camp of Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. Then the whole congregation sent word to the surviving sons of Benjamin, who were at the rock of Rimmon, and proclaimed peace to them. So the survivors of Benjamin returned at that time, and they gave them the women whom they had kept alive from the tribe of Jabesh Gilead, but there were not enough to provide wives for them. And the people were sorry and had compassion for the survivors of the tribe of Benjamin, because that the Lord had made a gap in the tribes of Israel. Then the elders of the congregation said, What shall we do for wives for those men who are left, since the women of Benjamin have been destroyed? And they said, there must be an inheritance for the survivors of Benjamin, so that the tribe will not be wiped out from Israel. But we cannot give them wives from the daughters, for the sons of Israel have sworn an oath. Cursed is he who gives his wife to a man from the tribe of Benjamin. So they said, listen, there is the yearly feast of the Lord at Shiloh, which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goes up to Bethel to Shechem, and on the south side of Lebanon. So they instructed the sons of Benjamin, saying, go set an ambush in the vineyards, and watch. If the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in the dances, then you shall come out of the vineyards, and each of you shall catch his wife from the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of the tribe of Benjamin. And when their fathers or their brothers come to complain to us, we shall say to them, give them to us voluntarily, because we did not take a wife for each man of Benjamin in battle, nor did you give wives to them, for that would have made you guilty of breaking your oath. So that the sons of the tribe of Benjamin did as instructed, and they took wives according to their number from the dancers who they carried away. Then they went and returned to their inheritance and rebuilt the towns and lived in them. And the sons of Israel departed from there at that time, each man to his tribe, and the family of each man went from there to his inheritance. And in those days, when the judges governed, there was no king in Israel. Every man did what was right in his own eyes. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you back here next time.